Hey y'all, spoiler alert. Everything that we are about to talk about is pertaining to Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 5. Now, this is the fifth and final season, and I just gotta say that everything that I'm saying are all my independent observations, and this video is just for entertainment and engagement purposes only. Okay, now before we get into what's going on in season 5 so far, I think that June 12th was the first Friday that it started coming, that the episodes started dropping of Raising Kanan, and the episodes drop every single Friday on Stars. So far we have 4 episodes out. So I just want to talk about everything that's been going on in the first 4 episodes of the fifth and final season of Raising Kanan. I do need to thank y'all for your patience. Thank y'all so much for even coming back. I know that it is not super like tight and everything like that, and I have gotten y'all critiques, and I'm gonna try to take them into consideration when I make these videos. But I do have notes, and I am gonna be referring to my notes. But I'm going to be looking into the camera as much as I can. So I just really appreciate y'all's patience. Now let's get into it. Now, before we totally get into it, I do need to make a couple of corrections. When I did a recap of Raising Kanan for seasons 1 through 4, I neglected to say that Neek was on a rampage as well, and he was actually the one that was hitting Rock, because remember, the mob boss from Jersey, Phil, had poked Stefano Marchetti, the New York boss, the big boss. So you have Neek doing all that stuff that was going on with Rock. It was like they were in a war together. So while he was ruining her businesses and shooting up all her spots, she was busy kidnapping his girl Pernessa and their son Jerome. So Lulu and one of his artists had ended up kidnapping his son and his girl Neeks, while at the same time Neek was destroying, like I said, Rock's businesses, and he had no idea. He was just going off of, all right, Marchetti is down, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to go all out. Another thing, and the biggest thing that I didn't mention, was the fact that we met Breeze. We finally came face to face with Breeze at the end of season 4 of Raising Kanan. Now, the people who watch Power know we've been hearing Breeze this, Breeze that for years. You know, pretty much Ghost and Tommy got into the game from Kanan and Breeze. So we got to meet Kanan, but we never seen Breeze. So we finally meet Breeze, and we finally see Breeze and Kanan come face to face. And that introduction was through Snap and Pops, because Snap and Pops are Breeze's aunt and uncle child. All right, so I do want to totally dive into everything that has gone on from the beginning of season 5 to where we are now. The end of episode 4. So from episodes 1 through 4. So we pretty much begin with the scene where it's Kanan and Rock. Kanan got his gun on Rock. He's explaining to her why he has to kill her. Like, I'm about to kill you, Mom, and this is why. And what happens next is pretty much devastating. I'm pretty sure a lot of the viewers were devastated. It happened almost in a snap, like in the blink of an eye. Lou and one of their soldiers, Ruben, comes in the door. Ruben sees that a gun is pointed at Rock. He goes to shoot Kanan because he had a gun pointed at Rock, and Lou knocks Ruben, so that his gun points toward the ceiling and he shoots the ceiling, but at the same time, Kanan turns around, shoots Lou. By the time Rock opens her eyes, Lou is shot. So he's falling down the wall, about to die. And even in that moment, she, had to mourn her brother, kiss him, tell him that she loved him, but she still turned around. Even in that moment, she had some sort of love for her child, even though he just killed, her baby brother. Now, she was devastated, and that moment and a couple of more moments, we kind of see Rock more emotional than we've seen her in all 5 seasons. Like, we haven't seen her this emotional. She's very, very hurt that her brother is gone. And she just yells for Kanan to go. So Kanan goes off. Rock and Ruben end up going to go, pretty much dump Lou's body somewhere, like it never happened, like Kanan never killed his uncle at her house. And her and Ruben ride out. Ruben like, I ain't gonna say nothing. Rock like, yeah, nigga, you better not say nothing. And she's like, you know what? I need to kill this cat. So he gets out the car. She's like, nah, come back. Come get this work. You deserve it. You know what I'm saying? We've been through a lot tonight. And of course, she shoots and kills this cat. We see the next morning, Marvin and Juke just having a bowl of cereal. Juke like, hey, have you heard from anybody? Like, last I heard, like, Kanan was on his way over the rocks. He was mad. I hit Lou and told Lou what happened, and he said he was over there to stop whatever was about to happen because Kanan was just so hot. And Marv eating the cereal. Nah, I ain't know nothing about none of that. So what's up? Before they can even continue their conversation, the cops knocked on the door and said, hey, are you Marvin Thomas, Lou Thomas's brother? Yeah. Well, he didn't say anything. It just shows him looking at them. And next thing you know, they're at, the morgue, and Marvin identifies his brother. When Rock, everything happened so quick in that first scene when Kanan shot his uncle. Like, you see Rock cry and, kind of go through the motions, but everything happens so quick. She has to pretty much clean that scene up. So you don't really get to see her mourn. And like I said, throughout, the 5th season, you do see her have moments that she breaks down and she gets very emotional. So they're very hurt behind Lou. Jukebox rolled with Marv, to the morgue to ID Lou, and by the time he gets back to the car and tells Juke, yeah, it was your uncle. They just hold each other and cry. Heartbreaking. That moment is super, super heartbreaking. We see them have Lou's funeral, and Marv pretty much tells everybody, he's cussing in church like, have mercy on whoever did this to my brother, because I'm coming after you. After the funeral, Rock pretty much disowns Kanan. Me and you done. We don't mean nothing to each other. I'm the worst enemy you've ever had. And Kanan tells her, you've been my enemy my whole life. You pretty much still nonchalant, don't care. You've been my enemy my whole life. Both Juke and Marv end up having conversations with Kanan and Rock, and it almost seems like they're having parallel conversations. And I say that because Juke can't quite understand how the night unfolded, and everybody's talking about they didn't see Lou. Like, at what point, did Lou die? You know what I'm saying? So, to Marv and Juke, it had to be, their enemies. It had to be Neek, especially being as though Marv knew that they just kidnapped Neek's girl and son. So to him, it's Neek. I need to find Neek. I need to know where Neek is at. So you see Marv kind of go on a rampage, and he's wads of money, pulling up the corners. He pulled up to the barber shop. Anybody know any information about where Neek is, where I could find Neek, let me know. Because we also see after, in the beginning, the scene after Kanan shoots Lou, we see Neek and some of his soldiers end up rescuing Pernessa and Jerome because they get information on, their whereabouts. They get information on where Lou, and where his artist could have been hiding, his son and his girl. So by the time Marvin gets to them, to do some sort of, well, I'm going to kill them since my brother's dead, they weren't even there. Neek had already rescued them, taken them out to a safe house. You know what I'm saying? Get y'all out the city. I'm going to take y'all out to a safe house, and I need to figure out what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So after that, we kind of see, okay, we met Breeze, but then we see Breeze sitting down for a meal with his aunt and uncle. So as Breeze, Snaps, and Pop sitting down, they eating their dinner. Breeze is like, hey man, y'all introduced me to Kanan. Y'all talking about we gonna build, it's gonna be the three of us, me, Kanan, and Neek, and neither one of them have come to me yet. Like, what's up? And Snaps and Pop pretty much tell him, be patient. They coming, they ain't got no other choice. Ain't no other way to get anything, to get any work out there. So they gonna be coming to you. You know what I'm saying? So their biggest thing is, and they specifically say to him, and I made a mental note of it because I'm like, okay, this is gonna come back up. They like, don't worry about that. What you need to be worrying about is not doing a repeat of what you did when you was in East New York, but doing all them side businesses and stuff. So I guess he was getting money for them in East New York and ended up doing his own thing on the side, and that might be why now he's in Queens, and they're trying to get him to connect with the hottest people out there, the hottest people that they know that's out there, to get the work off in Queens. So they said, okay, not only are we telling you don't be on no bullshit, but this is where everything's gonna run out of. They told him that all the work was gonna run out of this pawn shop on Guy Brewer Boulevard. So that was that. Now, back on the police tip, you got Captain Baptiste about to retire, but he pulls Detective Garcia aside. Now, if you remember, Detective Garcia was back. He was an OG. He was a detective back when both Burke and Detective Howard was alive. So he's like, pretty much, hey, we need to get justice for these fallen officers, for your fellow detectives. I'm leaving, but I'm leaving it up to you to figure out what happened, why they were murdered. You know what I'm saying? So, we're not just going to let these cases close and, okay, they're dead. No, we need to know what happened. So, with that being said, remember how Detective Burke used to harass Juke? Now Detective Garcia harassing Juke. And Juke ends up giving Garcia pretty much, she pretty much tells him, hey, we're going to start paying you. Don't you worry about nothing. You got 2 kids and you got a baby on the way. Don't you worry about nothing. We just going to give you some money. You give us some protection. You give us some information when we need it. And let's just leave it at that. Don't harass me. Let this thing work for you. So he gives her his expectations as far as how much, he expects for her to give him every week. And they take it from there. Now, meanwhile, Kanan does end up going to see Breeze, because one day Kanan goes to one of his apartments that, remember, Kanan had his little bike messenger thing going on. So they like, look, we need some money. You got us sitting around, and Kanan's like, well, just give me a couple days. And one of the guys was like, well, look, we heard about this guy Breeze, So that night, Kanan goes to end up to meet meet up with Breeze and see what he talking about. Breeze got a whole fight club underground going on, and it's like a murderous fight club. It's like fight to the death. You're not getting this money, and you not leaving until you beat this guy to death, and then I'm gonna give you the money. If you don't want to do it, then you could die too. That's pretty much where he's at, and he has this right hand man named Taz. So Kanan just pretty much, scopes it out. He's looking around, seeing how he's moving and everything like that. And they, end up connecting, and, they take it from there. So Rock goes to see Stefano. Remember, Phil poked him at the end of last season. So Rock goes to see him at the hospital. He's like, now, come on. Now, I'm not going to let you do a thing. You are banned. He told her he better not see nobody of hers working, on his streets in Queens. So Rock ends up going to a Manhattan boss, Bernardi, who doesn't really care about anything that Stefano had to say. Because I'm like, well, ain't Stefano the boss? Bernardi don't care. And Bernardi is like, I'll provide you with protection, don't step on none of my people's toes here in Manhattan. And I'll also connect you with this lady named Flossie. Now, Flossie and Rock meet. Flossie is a madam. She runs girls. And she pretty much tells Rock, listen, a lot of people done came to me with this. I know you sell drugs. I know what you're trying to do. Only reason I'm with it is because you're a woman and you remind me of me. We both strong women in this male-dominated field. And I'm going to help you get it. Let's get it. So she pulls a couple girls, introduces them to Rock. I pulled you because I trusted you. This is what you're going to be doing for this lady. Child. Come to find out, one of the girls that she pulls is also an escort for Kanan. So Kanan is seeing this girl. It do kind of seem like he's starting to fall for the girl, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Now, after that, Stefano Marchetti gets out of the hospital, and Snaps and Pop, Kanan, and Breeze end up going to meet with Marchetti. And he's like, yeah, y'all got the green light. Look, he took everything. He took Queens from Rock, but he gave pretty much Kanan and Breeze the green light to run their business, in Queens. So with that being said, Kanan and Breeze, their business starts booming because, hey, we got the green light from the Don, of New York. Of course, they got to give him his piece. And he also told them, listen, if it ever turns out that y'all don't stay on top and somebody come and knock y'all out, I'm going to be on their side. I'm not loyal to y'all. So understand all of this before, I give y'all this go to go ahead and get y'all's off in Queens. So they was fine with that. They, made it known that they was going to do what they was going to do, and they pretty much thanked them. Now, Rock finds out about that whole thing because Bernardi is telling her, hey, listen, go meet up with Stefano, go have one more conversation. I want, I'm going to let you do what you do because he can't tell me what to do. I'm not scared of him. But go have one more conversation because this cat is making it hot for me. He's talking to the higher up powers that be, making me look bad. You know what I'm saying? I guess, the other families and everything like that. So Rock is like, it's no need in me going to talk to Stefano. He already told me it was a wrap for me on the streets of Queens. I can't do nothing, So she ends up going to do it, you know what I'm saying? Because pretty much Bernardi's like, if you don't go do it, then you ain't got, Manhattan either. So she goes to meet, with Stefano, and she decides to let him know, hey, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm in Manhattan. I found a loophole. I'm not working, in Queens, so it's nothing you could say. And he's pretty much rubbing her face in the fact that, yeah, that's all good and fine, but your son, though, your son is giving his all, to me right now. Him and Breeze is doing the damn thing on the streets of Queens, and you know, I'm back and I'm better than ever. But the only thing was he had the nerve to say to her, but what's up with that breakup piece though? He still wanted a piece, even though he told her she couldn't run her business in Queens. She's in Manhattan, but yeah, give me a breakup piece. We broke up, but I still give me. Which I said he's very, very bold. So with that, Rock and Marv have a conversation, and she's like, "Yo, he really, really gotta go. Like, this, this cat in Manhattan is pretty much telling me it's a go, and I could do this and that, but we're never gonna be free until Stefano is gone. So we got to get rid of him." So they decide to get some hitters from Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. Didn't look like us. They're like, we got to make sure it doesn't, it doesn't, fall back on us. But he got to go. So some good old boys. Marvin went to pick up some good old boys from Memphis, cowboy hats, Wrangler jeans, and he's showing them around, showing them where Marchetti lives, showing them, pretty much where he hangs out, and he's letting them know, hey, y'all got one shot, if y'all don't kill him, then y'all not gonna make it back home. You know what I'm saying? So with all of that, we also see that Breeze tests Kanan, and he's like, all along you kind of see Taz hating, which I told y'all that Taz was Breeze's right hand man. But when Kanan came to that to the Fight Club, Taz had his eye on him, like, I see Breeze is taking a like to him, and slowly but surely you see Breeze kind of like replacing, Taz's functionalities in the business, to giving it to Kanan and giving Taz like, hey, you take care of his bike messengers. Another thing that I forgot to say, that after talking to everybody, I told y'all that I told y'all Neek was running around trying to tie up loose ends and figure out, what he was going to do. So in that, once he went to visit everybody, he went to see Phil. Phil was like, look, I done threw a rock. I done threw a big bomb and I missed. You know what I'm saying? After poking Marchetti and him surviving and being out the hospital, making moves, he ends up assassinating Phil. He caught him slipping in a drive-through. His driver gave him up. He like, boss, I don't wash the house all night. I need to go get a coffee. So they go to the McDonald's drive-through, and he ends up getting out the car, and Marchetti's people come and get Phil. So the walls is closing in on Neek. So Neek does end up going to go see Breeze, but he don't have a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? So Neek sees his people's Akbar, which is pretty much one of his peers on the streets, and they have a conversation like, yeah, both of us better lay low. So Neek ends up leaving the game, like, and you kind of hear the adult Kanan, 50 Cent's voiceover saying like, he gets all my respect because you don't see too many people just leave, and like Neek left everything behind. You know what I'm saying? So, toward, the end of the, this most recent episode that came out yesterday, came out Friday the 3rd, it's really just Breeze and Kanan. You know what I'm saying? Their businesses are successful. Rock's business is successful. She's flush with money because they ended up selling the strip mall, but she's like, nah, I don't want my son working for Marchetti. You know what I'm saying? He gotta go. So they got the good old boys, and they ready for them to assassinate Stefano. But meanwhile, like I said, Taz, Breeze's initial right hand man, has been getting jealous of him getting closer with Kanan and pretty much having to do Kanan's work. So he started bullying Kanan, and Kanan kept it cool and stuff in front of their workers and in front of their soldiers and stuff. But one day, Breeze came to Kanan and was like, "Yo, Taz, count was off." So he ends up going to Taz, "Hey, your count was off, whatever, whatever." Taz was like, "Dog, he's trying to pit us against each other, but I'm with all the shits. So let's just get it over with." Child, Kanan ends up killing Taz. Then counts the money, saw he wasn't short. Now, while this is happening, Breeze and Rock end up meeting up on the streets. Now he came to her all, sly and dashing, and she shut that shit right down. So then he started kind of not disrespecting her, but kind of being smart, talking to her like an auntie, like, "Okay, ma'am, look, the only reason I'm out here meeting with you is because you had a lot going on out in these streets, and I'm just meeting you out of respect. But your son doing what he want, we out here, there's nothing you could do about it, whatever, and we not gonna stop." He's like, the difference between women and men is, men is doing this for money and bitches, and, women, I don't know what they doing it for, blah, blah. Rock is like, "Well, I'm a woman, and I'm doing it for the money, and ain't nobody gonna get in the way of me and my money. I'm getting money in Manhattan, y'all getting money in my city. This is my city. So just know that I'm gonna get it back. You think you about to take my city away from me with my son, my own flesh and blood? You not." So they had that meetup, and Breeze leaves from there, ends up coming to see that Kanan had killed Taz. So for the first time, you see Kanan being Breeze teaching Kanan how to saw up a body. So they sawing up a body. They take a break, they having a conversation, and Breeze was like, "Yo, I just want to let you know I did meet with your mom." And I feel like he kind of hints to, I feel like, when you know something, you need to tell me. That was your mom that hit one of our corners. So if you had a feeling that it was your mom, then you should have told me, whatever. And Kanan threw that shit right back and was like, "Okay, I hear you, but the nigga Taz's count didn't come up short." So Breeze was like, "Oh, yeah, I tested you, this and that, And Kanan was like, "Dog, how am I supposed to know that one day you're not going to pull somebody in and test them and they end up killing me?" Child, Breeze looked at him and was like, "Nah, never going to happen with me and you. And I'm going to tell you why. It's never going to happen with me and you, bro. Real bro though, because I'm Def Con's son too. Me and you was brothers," and it's just like a moment, like, hold on, wait. I was like, wait, and then I was like, oh shoot, they brothers. But then I thought about, no, Detective Howard is Kanan's dad. So Breeze don't even know that Kanan's really not Def Con's son. And one of the last things that happened, and then I think we'll be pretty caught up, is that, like I said, they Rock and Marvin bought these good old boys from Memphis, Tennessee into New York City, child, and to get rid of Stefano. And you see a scene, and it looks like the good old boys, they in the car, they about to ride off. And they go to ride off, and you got your passenger, you got your driver, and then it's the big one with the cowboy hat sitting in the back. Child, well, the big one with the cowboy hat pops both the passenger and the driver in the back of the head and gets out. Next thing you know, you see this cat facing Stefano, child. So Stefano, I guess somehow done found out. He done went to Stefano. Stefano done probably double pay him. Well, I'll double pay you not to kill me and to kill your two people who came with you, to kill me. Child, you already know Stefano. Once Stefano gave him the money, you know how the mob, how the mob people be in these shows. So he turns his back and somebody pops him. Dog, you're not about to think you about to come to town and I'm going to pay you not to kill me, and then you think you about to go back home. You're dead too. So they kill him, child, and next thing you know, Marv is in the club. He gets some mail. He gets a package. Girl, he go to open that package. It's a bloody cowboy hat. Child, I said, everybody trying to kill this cat, but he cannot be killed, and he letting y'all know. So that was Stefan sending a message like, yeah, I got you good old boys. Didn't work. Try again. So I don't know what's to come now, child. All I know is it's going to be a new episode coming this Friday, and I'll be back to talk about it, So y'all let me know if I missed anything. Please let me know. Keep y'all, even behind the scenes, keep y'all's critiques and everything coming. And I'm just so appreciative and grateful for y'all coming back and indulging me with this conversation, child. So I'll be back after the next episode of Raising Kanan shows with my recap, my conversation, my reaction, and everything in between. Subscribe, like, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Listen, be good to yourselves and be good to each other too, okay? All right. Thank y'all. Talk to y'all next time.